Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on Feeding Curiosity. I'm your host Eric Wenzel as always. Today's video is actually going to be a little bit different. I have a real world example and providing feedback on something I've been exploring in myself. Many of you know I'm a huge fan of wearable technology. As you can see, I'm wearing two devices on my hand and wrist here. One of those things that I really wanted to see if I could do this year was improve my cardiovascular performance. I have been training in a protocol called Zone 2, and I'll get into that in a second, but I wanted to share some details because now that it's getting into springtime here in the Midwest of the United States, I've been back on my bike, and that is predominantly how I did most of my cardio training prior to this fall and winter. I really wasn't like a runner by any stretch of the imagination. I would do like a mile here or there, but it wasn't ever anything in a serious sense. So I have a ton of data on how my average rides go, and because of the weather, I decided to hit the bike and see how the first ride of the season goes. I'm sure many of you know this, but during the winter time, you kind of expect hibernation to occur. All the holidays happen, you have lower performance coming out of the winter and going into the spring, and you expect gains to kind of come back as you get back into the swing of things. And for me, that has not happened. I've actually improved pretty substantially. I'm going to share some numbers. And there's two rides that I've done. And the reason I did this is that with my rides, I typically can gauge how hard it feels and look at my Whoop numbers and see where it should be or have a feel for where it should be. In my earlier ride where I only went like a couple miles, it wasn't anything crazy. I was like, these numbers look really low. And so this is what my longest ride was over the weekend. And I'll have images on the screen so you'll see them. But the strain was 9.4. The total duration was 1 hour and 41 minutes. The distance was 21 miles. The average heart rate was 126. The max heart rate was 162. I found a very similar ride from a year ago exactly, and in that the strain was 14.8, a hour and 23, distance was 16 miles, average heart rate 148, and max heart rate of 178. So this is a huge difference for me, and I did some percent difference calculations here, and just looking at average heart rate alone, I am 16% lower. And the strain is 44% lower than it was last year. It's incredible to see this amount of performance gain. I went on another bike ride just with the 16 miles to see where I would be at. I was an 8 strain, 1 hour and 22, 16 miles, 122 beats average, and 155 max. And that in strain is 59.6% lower. It's insane. It's like the ability to drop my exertion that much lower in only a year to me is just mind-boggling. So the question that's now probably on everybody's mind is, what did I do? This is where it gets really fun for me because I haven't had a good way of explaining this training Zone 2 modality. I've been really fascinated by it. I've really been fascinated about like endurance athletes and cellular functioning and all of those aspects that go into, I mean, really it's kind of like what kind of engine do you have in your system? It's like how well does your body transform food into fuel and be able to perform well. It's so cool. It's really, really cool. So what is Zone 2? If we're really strict about Zone 2 is a measurement of blood lactate, which is a byproduct of ATP generation in your muscles. And a lot of people attribute that to the soreness of your muscles, but really what it means is you're expending energy at a rate that your muscles can't clear the byproduct from it. Zone 2 is designed around improving the efficiency at which your cells will clear lactate from it. And so initially, I gotta be really honest here, is I messed up. I did not realize it was a lactic measurement. I had initially thought it was only a Zone 2 heart rate, and it can be an approximation of that. But if you really want to dive deep into this, you have to do the blood measurement. And so just being super upfront, I'm not doing that. I am only really focused on spending more time at a zone 2 heart rate. And what is zone 2 heart rate? Zone 2 heart rate is between 60% and 70% of your max heart rate, so it's specific to you. So you need to be wearing some sort of device that monitors your heart rate accurately, but what you need to do is do this during exercise so you know what your max heart rate is, and you need to wear it for a long period of time, because that's what it's all about, trends. So there's that. For a deeper dive on the science behind all of this stuff, I'm going to link to a couple podcasts that I really enjoy. I probably always mention Peter Attia on many of these podcasts, but I get so much good information from him, and I can't stress it enough. There's a podcast with Inigo San Milan. He is a researcher in this category of mitochondrial functioning and cellular functioning, and how does, elite performers convert energy into fuel their bodies at high levels. And there's also an AMA from Peter where he goes really deep into the category of zone 2 that I think is really useful for people if you really want to get into this at a very deeper level, especially if you're a competitive athlete. Now, going back toward my application of zone 2, as I was saying and very clear about, I've only been sitting at zone 2 as a heart rate measurement. And if you're a purist, you're probably going to be annoyed at that, or I'm not doing it properly. That's fine. I get it. But I think it's really fascinating because zone 2 really is a easy zone to sit at. And the way Peter describes it, and I would agree with him, is it's an all-day pace. I really feel like I could just sit there and just kind of glide at that rate, no problem. For me, the two ways that I really sit and do this is with a treadmill, and that's for me roughly like 3.5, 6, maybe almost 4 now miles per hour, and maybe a couple degrees incline, nothing crazy. I would also do stair climbers for this as well. I would do an 8 speed on that machine at the gym. And so either one of those two. And then the next question here is, what is dosing? Peter, we're looking at his podcast again, he recommends 45-minute sessions. I would do 40-minute sessions because I was also going off of my Whoop data, which in Whoop, I'll show a picture of this, but it gives you a targeted strain for your day. When you do that, I would always attempt, no matter how I felt, at a minimum, I would hit low optimal strain for my day. So if that meant I had to go a bit longer or crank up the intensity, I would do that just so I covered my bases. In general, what Peter recommends is around 3 to 4 sessions at 45 minutes minimum. Play with this as you will, but I think this is really important for just about anybody, because what zone 2 is something that is such a low bar for you. All you gotta do is put time in at it, but you can set it such a low intensity that you can basically accumulate and like train your cells to operate more efficiently. And one of the things I think people end up getting too lost on is that they have to go hard or push themselves too fast, and then they get super sore, or they just can't keep up with the pace they want to go mentally. Their body just gives out on them. And I think that shoots you in the foot for future progress, because in this modality, you can go from doing what you can or doing less than what you think you can. And then when you do need to actually push beyond that, unlock that hidden gear for yourself, all of a sudden it's way easier than you anticipated it being, because you built up this tolerance over time. And then your body's like, okay, cool, we got this. Like, you've trained us, you've put the work in. Now when we have to, kick it up to 11, we can go for it. And it's so cool to be able to have this data set that I can look back and be like, wait a minute, something's weird here. And then look back and compare like this. Just looking at heart rate, my average heart rate went from 126 or was 148 to 126. That's crazy. I'm not a competitive athlete by any means, but to be able to drop my exertion needed to perform a ride of 21 miles lower than I did at 16 miles is so crazy to me. I'm going to leave it there for now. I'd really like to hear what people have to say about this. Like, what do you know about zone 2? Do you train with zone 2? How do you use zone 2? If you are measuring blood lactate, what do you do for that? Because I haven't done it. I might actually do it now if people are interested in seeing that. I don't know what my power output is at. Peter recommends a 2 millimoles of lactate. What is your power output is the professional metric there. I don't know what mine is at all, but I do know what speeds I can go around my zone 2 heart rate. This is a really fascinating topic for me, and being able to have this data and say, look, my body's adapting, I'm physiologically adapting, is so fascinating. Thank you all for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and keep hammering.